Investors and traders, welcome to the channel Market Chat Pattern. Today is 8th of February 2025. Hope everyone's having a great weekend. We will be taking a look at the key technology stocks that we follow on the channel. As always, the videos for educational purposes only. It is not a financial advice. So we are taking a look at the weekly chart of Meta. I'm really proud to say that Meta actually met our target of $690, and in fact went above that. Um, but for now, I'm just watching the price action after the long-term target was met, which was forecasted weeks and months in advance. So really excited about that it finally reached that target. And personally, I had been long the Meta stock for quite some time, and I actually booked profits around that. So now just watching the price action, it's just not a recommendation. You guys have to do whatever you have to do. This is just for education information purpose. So on the daily chart, what we are looking at is last Friday the market closed negative with a candle formation, which needs further confirmation. But if we close below the close of last Friday, we could see a bit more of a pullback take place. However, there's still a chance the Meta could actually try to make an attempt for about $740 per share. That would really strong stock. It's one of the key players in on the artificial intelligence side of things, because of the quite a few things they have done. They have come up with a new thing called Jam, I believe, which is for the videos creation using artificial intelligence. There's a lot of stuff happening in this field. It's really a front runner at the moment for with regards to artificial intelligence. Now let's take a look at the stock Tesla. Before we look at the weekly and the daily charts, on the long term monthly chart, this is the chart that I would like to show everyone. This is not something we take a look at every in every video, but back in 2023, somewhere around May or June of 2023, I had come up with a target of Tesla with a $500 price target. And at that time, I received some negative comments as well that is the stock may never get there, this and that, which is all fine, but this is again the power of the patterns and the ABCD one-to-one price projection. We did not quite reach $500 per share level, but we came to $488.54. So we missed it by by quite small margin, which is okay, but it is psychological number. Maybe the stock at some point makes another attempt towards it. But what you have to also recognize is that if you adjust it for the splits, this stock is in several thousands, and 500 represented, I don't know, in excess of $4,000 maybe. I don't know. I will have to confirm, so don't take my word for granted. But again, this is something which we forecasted months and months in advance, and I was really happy that the stock actually pretty much reached that target, and in my books actually reached the target. On the weekly chart, what we see is the Tesla is pulling back. I think it's got some further downside, maybe around 345 is 20-week moving average. But on the daily chart, this is where we are really watching this pattern formation. So this is the blue ABCD cycle, and this was of the corrective nature. It went pretty much to the 61.8% retracement, and then we saw the price actually move lower. I also see a smaller ABCD, which kind of completes right where the price closed. Here we go. So maybe we can see some bounce from this level. Actually, let me try to make this of a different color, because that way it's a little bit easier to see. Let me change that. Here we go. And there we go. So I think we can see some sort of a bounce. Also, we are really close to the structural support right here. But the chances are we are in this bigger ABCD. The red one, which could see the price come anywhere between 340 to about 323, sort of that region, and 341 is also the 38.2% retracement. So I'll be watching this region really carefully in Tesla. Now let's take a look at the Amazon. Amazon was down last Friday about 4%. That was because of the earnings. I do not know what happened in the earnings. Apparently, some sort of a miss. But what I do know is that technically we were watching Amazon around this level very, very carefully, because that was this ABCD, where the CD leg was 1.272 times the AB leg. And previously we had a very nice ABCD pattern which completed right here, and the market had a pretty big drop of about 24%. 25 was pretty big. And could the market repeat itself? This is what the market symmetry is all about. So we'll have to wait and see. So the stock remains in a nice trend. You can see this is a trend line, but it can go through its cycles, and we can see a pullback which can happen. I would like to see a follow through on the weekly basis. If it is able to get below the lows of the 27th of Jan, then I think it's got a chance to move lower, maybe much lower here as well. But right now, we are finding a great amount of resistance after completing the 1.272. There was a chance it could complete, it could head to 250, which was 1.618 expansion of this entire BC leg, but the completion of this ABCD, I think it's finding some resistance right here. So this is what we're watching in Amazon. Not too much surprised that we saw some negative price action last week. It's just because of the pattern which completed right there. Now let's take a look at Roblox. Roblox also had its earnings come out. So here we go, and really interesting thing is that Roblox met our target of about anywhere between $63 to $67 per share level. And after the earnings, which I had some sort of I think it had some sort of a miss. So we saw this kind of a price action on the weekly basis, but it doesn't really mean much. It's more of a trading range for that week. And on the daily chart, this is what we see. Here we go. This is when the earnings came out. It dropped quite a bit that day, 11%, and the next day, and I think it was bought up and just remains in this range. So I think this one we need to watch. Really, what we need to watch is whether we get some sort of a the correction which could happen. How that correction will transpire, if there is going to be a correction. So I will put the 38.2% retracement like this, and it came pretty close to it. And let's see if we get some sort of a corrective move, which could be in an ABCD formation. That will be really good to see. And let's see what this retracement came out to be. Looks like a 50%. Yep, it is a 50%. And the market closed right towards the 38.2% retracement. So let's see if we are able to get an ABCD like this sort of a structure. There's also a possibility we might get a complex structure where the correction actually lasts longer in time. So we could have an ABCD, then an ABCD higher. So let me actually try to draw it for you like this, and this, and then there could be a decline like this, which could be right towards here, could be a little bit lower as well. So we'll have to wait and see what sort of pattern we get for the correction. But glad to say we met another stock met our target. Now let's take a look at Microsoft. And here we go on the daily chart. What we can see is this stock actually topped on the 5th of July 2024, so it's been quite a while, over 6 months. And what we are seeing is we see a trading range and also some sort of a distribution here, because the rallies they get sold and the bottoms get bought. So as this trading range behavior. On the weekly chart, what we can see is look, I think we are in this pattern in the dotted red, where we could see the price to be $370 per share level. That's around the 38.2% retracement. So most likely, I think this stock is moving in this CD leg lower in this direction. Again, we'll have to wait and see. But if it gets there, it'll be pretty interesting to see what sort of price action we get here in terms of support. Now let's take a look at Netflix. Wow, so Netflix keep on making new highs right at the 1.618 expansion. This is what we were talking about the other day, and let's see what sort of price action we get. Normally from here I would expect at least a trading range for the stock, but really nice strong looking trend for the stock. So here I think trading range, maybe slight pullback as well. Now let's take a look at NVIDIA. So this is the NVIDIA stock, and the stock had a bit of a pullback, went right into this trend line, closed above that, so that is positive. So here on the daily chart, if we just look at this, what we can see on the daily chart is there is, this stock is moving in gaps. So it does appear to me there is some sort of a fair amount of distribution here. If we just go back in time to June 2024, you look at this, it hasn't really made much of a high right here, but now it's really in this gap. It makes a gap higher, a big decline here, and the stock is moving in gaps. So these are typically associated with towards ending moves, in my opinion. But our support levels are still being held. So I will be watching this really carefully. I think this on the weekly we had a 175 170 target on this, and that's on the upper range, but if this trend line keeps on breaking, we could see further downside in Nvidia. So I think for Nvidia and the chip stocks, especially with the DeepSeek scenario that a couple of weeks came out, we need to be pretty careful with the chip stocks, especially the Nvidia. And yeah, so again, it just went right to the 38.2% retracement right here. Um, so I think we have to watch it very carefully. It begins to close negative from here. This would be, in my opinion, a strong trending move indication to the downside. Then we could see a pretty clear break on the daily chart, and on the weekly chart we have the symmetry, so we could see the market pull back maybe around $100. From there we have to wait and see, breaking these lows of 90, especially 75. It could point to much lower prices. So Nvidia, we have to watch the price action very carefully. Speaking of the chip stocks, this is the AMD. A subscriber had asked me about this one, so I had done the analysis. You can see the stock is pretty weak, and especially broke this trend line, so the price action is pretty weak. And the market overall, such as S&P 500 and Nasdaq, it has performed much better. So this is weaker than the market stock, so one has to be aware of it. And what we had done was, on the daily chart, I had done the cycle or ABCD cycles, and where we closed is pretty much towards the boundary of these, where we have this blue cycle completing, and a little bit lower around 1 or 2 we have this bigger black cycle completing right here. It's gone below this 38.2, this retracement level. So just watching this space very carefully, and because if it breaks below this 102 100 level, then it has a chance to go much lower. But if on the flip side we begin to see positive closes, because it did close on 5th of February positive after hitting exactly that level. Now we are going and testing that bottom one more time. So let's see what sort of follow through we get, and I would really like to see 3 trading days, and if we begin to get 3 positive candle closes, and we begin to take out these swing highs, that will be a positive sign. But again, something I want to point out is trying to catch this bottom like this is requires very good money management in terms of the risk control, and sometimes maybe buying a secondary pullback might be a little bit easier, because you have a clearly defined low to take into account. Again, this is not any sort of financial advice. You have to do whatever you have to do. This is just for education purposes only. Now let's take a look at IBM. And IBM, I think it's just pulling back. It's also got dividends coming up, so we can see a further pullback because of the dividend effect. But on the weekly chart, what we see is the stock actually met our target. This was this gray region. Tried to go above it. We have 279, 280 as well, but it pulled back for the week. So this is what we're looking at in AMD Z scalar. Here we go. So Z scalar, it's a stock which is quite volatile, and it's just been creeping higher. I think it really needs to break above 220 for an attempt towards the highs around 260. What is really key is that as long as it is held the C point here in blue, it could be in this CD leg higher. So really watching the Z-scaler stock here very carefully. I think I've covered pretty much all the major stocks that we follow on the channel here. If there is some more stock that you would like me to follow for technology, please put that in the comments and I will do the analysis for it. So thank you very much for watching the video. Good luck, good trading, and speak to you guys soon.